Okay, hi guys, this is Natalie Kimura. I am your Western District Vice President of Membership, and today I just wanted to cover on how to make a district office packet. And this covers the elements, common questions and answers, and fun stuff just to make your packets stand out. The first slide that I wanted to go over is the title page. This is the first page that anybody will be seeing when you decide to make a packet. And this is easily the most creative part, where you just need to include a couple of things, such as your first name, last name, chapter, and your organization. And it could be Kappa Kappa Psi or Tau Beta Sigma. You have the free creative reign to make it as simple as just putting on the crest, as the example is seen here, and then do it as creative as you want to be. People have in the past used pictures of themselves into the packets or used another design of the thing, whatever you want to make of it. This is the first impression of what people will learn about you. But other information that you need to include is what office you are running for, the year that you are doing it, the Western District Convention, the location, with the city location and the state location, and the date when it occurs. And then after this, on the next slide, it talks about the cover letter. And the cover letter is just basically talking about yourself. And this is the first introduction of understanding you as a candidate, of what you want to do in district office and what you are going to do. And this also includes writing a brief platform where you get to introduce yourself and what you want to do or what you have done with your chapter and your history as a brother or a sister, and do anything else relevant for running for office and how it includes in your experiences on what you want to do and how you are going to do it. And the next slide is just the example of what a typical cover letter consists of. And this covers it in 2 slides, but the full amount is just 1 page, where the first paragraph, you just get to introduce yourself in a sentence or 2, and then explain your story on what you did with your organization, KKPSI or TBS. And this is the hook where brothers and sisters get to understand why you are fit to run as a candidate and why you should be in the office. In the next paragraph, you just explain why you are a qualified candidate. And just like any other cover letter for work, you get to write out your chapter office experiences or program development or any service that you've done. And then you get to talk about your platform, which is your goals for office, and why these reasons that you listed before is why you should be running for the office that you've announced to be. And then on the next slide is just a final paragraph just talking about thank you for making this an opportunity for you, and just having any final words for you to say in this one letter. And then you just get to sign off like you would if you were running for a job, and just write respectfully submitted or in the bond, MOTS, whatever you want to do. It depends on you. And then just have you finish off with your name, your chapter, your organization, your university, and your city location. Okay, the next thing is talking about your resume. And typically I call this the KKPSI resume or TBS resume, because it's not like a typical resume for work where you also do your name, your address, your email, your phone number, website if you have one, and professional summary and education. But also with these in mind, you also include your KKPSI experience and your TBS experience. I also would include your volunteer experience, because that's another component that NOMS committee will look at and understand, like, what experiences actually will help you run for the office that you want. And also include the platform that you talked about or mentioned in your cover letter, because this will connect better with your ideas of what you've done to actually apply to what you were going to do. And the next slide just talks about a little more ideas of what to include. such as education. Just list your major if you have one. If there's an emphasis in what you are doing or what you're planning to do in the long run, include that, as well as if you have any completed degrees, if they're relevant, you should include those. Like an example is like if you have a fine arts degree from high school, that would apply because we are a music-oriented sorority. We involve band. That would be a great connection to show that you've always had a passion for the arts and for band, and it started pretty early, and that could be part of it. Oh, and then including for volunteer experience, this can include participating in relevant conferences, volunteer work for like Girl Scouts if you've been a troop leader or been a Girl Scout yourself. I know that you can include a lot of leadership opportunities in this as well that are outside of KKSI and TBS. Working with a band camp during the summers would be a great example of like, oh, you are exercising another muscle on how to lead a group of people in the summer. And then also for just general experiences for KSI and TBS, I would list chapter offices, committee chairs that you've been elected for, any relevant band leadership like section leader for the band in college or high school, and then also attending events such as big chapter events that you run every year, or district events like WDC or DLC or state days, or even nationally by going to another district convention or going to NatCon. Those would look really great because it shows that you are active as a chapter member and a district member and that you want to represent the district. Okay, for this next slide, this is just talking about some experiences that I've seen that have worked really well for the office that you want to run for. The first one is about Kappa Kappa Psi for the Secretary Treasurer. This goes over like financial experience with fundraisers, budgeting, profit shares, doing large-scale correspondence on a chapter level, or doing it with other organizations, because these skills are pretty important to work as a Secretary Treasurer. For the member at large, talking about special projects within service or history or music or ritual. Vice President is talking about joint experiences, membership teaching, post-membership teaching, as well as ritual experiences. And for the President, I always like to say being a major organizer of events or programs, and has an idea of what you want to do as a direction for the district. Overall, any experiences that have to do with outside of a Kappa Kappa Psi or Tau Beta Sigma automatically makes me think that you are definitely able to do the job, and shows insight into like what a district officer does anyway. And for the next slide, it's just the same thing for Tau Beta Sigma. It's very similar, where the Secretary Treasurer deals with fundraising and budgeting and profit shares. The Vice President of Special Projects deals with special projects that involve service, history, music, ritual. Vice President of Membership deals with leadership opportunities as well as having experiences with joint relations, membership teaching, post-membership teaching, and ritual. And the President as well deals with knowing a direction, what you want to do with the district. And on this last slide about resumes, this is just talking about like, it depends on you on what you want to emphasize as a district office candidate. It can depend on being a district participant and focusing on the perspective that to emphasize your experiences so members can understand this will definitely help with the district office. Your chapter experiences, if you're very heavy on chapter experience, you can focus on those experiences on how they will help you with an office. And then there's just tons of possibilities of what you can emphasize depending on the office that you want to pick. And then on this slide, this is just an actual example of what a resume looks like. And it has the details of what you would typically have in a resume with a professional summary and your education and the data to include your name, phone number, and all that relevant information. And then on here, it shows Tau Beta Sigma experience. And for this hypothetical example, this candidate has experience as a president and vice president of service, and even started pretty early in their career as being a social chair for this chapter. And then to continue on with that, this just lists some district experience of this hypothetical candidate. And all of these will just show that you are active as a regular member and that you are willing to put yourself out there and be able to go out and do the thing. And then as well, this candidate also did some volunteer experience with the Boys and Girls Club, and that shows like, oh, you actually have been doing experiences outside of KSI or TBS. And then for the next one, this is just a brief 2 ideas of a platform that this candidate has. Hypothetically, I just did this one as a sister, and this just talked about ideas that they wanted to do. And that's just a brief overall review of the packets and how to make one for brothers and sisters. And if you have any actual questions, here's the contact information for all the district officers. They are willing to always ask questions or answer your questions and make comments and help you in building it. They always want to help. And if you have any questions, you can always count on the district officers to be able to give back. Thank you.